Well, thanks so much for tuning into the Market Wrap. I'm Niraj Shah Nickey Mirchandani, and it turned out to be a peculiar day for PSUs. Everything else kind of faltered, but PSUs did really well, and PSU banks in particular have field day at the broader end of the spectrum. But frankly, if you just pull up the Nifty 50, you will see that 6 out of the top 10 gainers on Nifty were PSU names, and this is a repeat, right, of what happened yesterday, I think. So look at the gainers there. Oil and gas was very active. So ONGC, GAIL, BPCL, IOC, and then NTPC and Coal India. The top 6 names were all PSU names. And then, of course, you had Power Grid too. So pretty interesting going for the PSUs in the session today. What fell? Well, high quality took a back seat today with Bajaj Finance and Kotak Mahindra Bank, two very high quality names, and then an HDFC chipping in there too. So on the financial side, high quality financials which are expensive took a bit of a backseat in the session today. But you have to admit there's something abuzz with the PSU space. It's not just in the large cap space, in the mid cap space as well. It's not just in the financials, it's some of the others as well. There's some bit of uptick that we're seeing in this pocket. And I think everybody would do themselves a favor by asking them as to where is it that there is value still existing in PSUs, and if the business prospects are okay, maybe they look good. But having said that, as we said, a bunch of gainers today. Nicky Johnson to talk about the one name that really stood out on the large cap end today. Nicky, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Niraj. Clearly, no surprise out there. The name is SBI. So it's been doing well. The stock has been up for almost 4 out of 5 consecutive session. And today, of course, the stock was, it rallied more than 3.8% in trade after the Morgan Stanley report on this counter. At this point of time, Morgan Stanley has an overweight rating and has revised the target price to 600 rupees from the earlier price of 525, indicating a potential 40% upside in the normal base case scenario. In a bull case scenario, it's seeing an upside of close to 90%. That's only if the scenario where they're building in more than 1% of ROA for SBI, which tentatively can happen over the next 2 years, given that the macro situation looks pretty much like the scene that was there in 2000, earlier in 2000. So that's pretty much because of that. They've given that kind of targets, and they've maintained that retail franchise has improved, and the corporate cycle has been, turning around, at least when it comes to the non-performing loans. So these are a few highlights. Apart from that, they've also maintained that, they see higher margins, lower cost to income ratio, and lower credit costs, which is helped by the moderation in the corporate non-performing loans, which is typically working in the favor of SBI. So pretty much on back of that, we're seeing that a sharp up move coming in on SBI, and perhaps it's also, lifting up the entire PSU index, banking index by itself. So anything else that you're picking up, Neil, at this point of time in the broader space?
It's about PSUs yet again, Nicky. You can't take your eyes off them in the session today. But it'll be important to see the breadth as well. And I reckon that yet another day of a slightly weakish market breadth. I'll be surprised if that's not the case. Actually, okay, I am surprised. It's 270 to 228. So the Nifty 500 actually don't have that terrible a market breadth compared to the last few days. So that's actually a bit of a relief. But what did well and what did not? So, well, here's a look at things, right? Banks and PSUs again. Well, the insurance players did well. But Central Bank, Indian Overseas Bank, Bank of Baroda, Union Bank of India, you name a bank and you attach the word PSU, and that did really well. There's a brief spike in Balrampur Chini today, so about 9%. And GMM Fodler did well. You'll hear the management tomorrow on BloombergQuint at 16.5 to 17% up in the session after they got the approval to acquire the assets of Fodler. So that did well. What did do well? Shilpa Medicare had a bit of a pullback. And some of the stocks which gained yesterday on this telecom PLI, telecom equipment PLI news, ITI, D-Link, etc., all of them came off in the session. So that was the other very interesting bit happening trade. But what about individual names, Nicky?
Yeah, so I'm picking up India Mart Intermesh, because it's come up with plans to raise around 1,100 crore via QIP, and it's fixed a floor price which is 6% higher as compared to the market price that we had yesterday, though it's at the discretion of the management if they could give a 5% discount to the floor price. But that's at this point of time, at least set one is at a premium of 6%. So, reflecting of that, you've seen the stock go up in the trade. But what I'm also looking at is Happiest Mind, which has rallied for 8 consecutive sessions. In the last two sessions itself, the stock has rallied more than 30%. Nomura has initiated a buy rating on this counter and has highlighted that the stock continues to grow nearly 2 times the pace of large caps and 1.5 times the pace of its mid cap peers owing to the digital presence. So clearly on back of that, they're estimating the US dollar revenue to grow at an annualized rate of over and about 25% from the year FY21 to FY24. So clearly, a strong guidance coming in and which is backed up by solid numbers. But anything specific, Neeraj, that you're picking up?
Well, it'll be interesting to see how some of the PSUs, of course, continue tomorrow, but also telecom. And as a pack, it's just dwindled away now the last few sessions. And it'll be interesting to see what happens over the course of the next couple of days out there. The dealing rooms are abuzz with some announcements on the anvil. So let's wait and watch what shapes up. What about the global markets, Nikki? I think the futures, the last time I saw, were trading a bit soft, the Dow futures in particular.
Yeah, the quite mixed trend at this point of time, and European markets also the last time. If you could just pull up WEI, or we'd see at this point of time they're giving a mixed indication of sorts. So no clear direction at this point of time, but there are hopes of a bumper US stimulus coming in. There are a couple of disappointing results, which like that of Airbus and also Orange, which at this point of time are weighing down on sentiment. But to an extent, the mining stocks in these geographies too have been doing well and have been limited the downside performance of the market. So clearly, some amount of traction building in for the metal stocks across the globe. We like to keep a close eye out on these names because these stocks continue to do well for themselves. But at this point of time, this is all that we have for you. And thank you so much for tuning into BloombergQuint.